My name's Troy. I'm a biologist. This is my brother Trent. I'm merely a chemist. And we are the Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds. Trent, we're back with another head-to-head battle of the Bourbon Brothers budget bottled in bond bracket blind.
Very exciting.
Oh.
Speaking of we have another B, the 3 seed in our bracket. And again, if you have not been watching, first of all, we already know you're not doing it right because that means you haven't been subscribing. You're not getting notified when there's a new drop of a Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds video. And you owe it to yourself. You don't owe it to us. You owe it to yourself to be better than that. And make sure you're not missing a single step. But you know, we have a bracket of 8 budget bottled and bond bourbons, not a one of them with an MSRP over $25. And we seeded them based on reviews online. And the 3 seed is the Buffalo Trace offering, benchmark bonded. A little tougher to find, okay? We don't have it in Pennsylvania. I've never seen it at a fine wine and goods beer store, but we bought it in Louisville, Kentucky. $20.
Yeah, 22, 23.
So it's really, really inexpensive. And you may remember, if you are a good little Bourbon Brother Whiskey Nerds watcher, it came very, very close to winning. Troy did have it winning.
I had it winning.
Mash bill #1 blind in Buffalo Trace. I had it in second place, so it was beating Eagle Rare. It was beating Colonel E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Just lost out to Buffalo Trace by a hair. Troy actually had it winning the whole thing. Really, really good tasting bourbon. Gonna be a sweeter sip. Really low rye. The Buffalo Trace mash bill #1 rye.
Less than 10%.
They say less than 10%, so it could be something like an 85, 87, or we don't know exactly.
I usually go with 80, 10, 10 as a
something
rough
like
estimate.
that. Whatever it is, this is benchmark, and it's the number 3 seed in our blind, and it's going up today against the 6th seed, Old Tub bottled and bond from
Jim Beam.
So it's the traditional Jim Beam mash bill, although not Creek. The Bakers has this mash bill. The Bookers would have this mash bill of 75, 13, 12, 13% rye, 75% corn, 12% malted barley. So an interesting little matchup today. Buffalo Trace versus Jim Beam on any short list of some of the most iconic distilleries out there. So, Troy, we're ready to go.
We're ready to roll.
Let's put them head to head. Now, today we did have one of the Bourbon sisters.
Yes.
Troy's wife poured us blind. So now we know that I have the same thing on my left that Troy has on his. And so we're ready to go in, Troy. Here's to our budget blind. Well, at first I went in, I wasn't getting a lot. Now some flavors are coming up. I wanted to call it sweet forward, but now I'm getting a little bit more of a balanced offering.
And a little oak, too.
Oak is a good note. I'm getting a little bit of barrel funk. Again, not a displeasing.
Not bad, no.
But there's
some baking spice coming.
There's almost a floral note that I'm getting, which isn't something that I was expecting. I want to say, and this is a dangerous word, I want to say a little bit of a nuttiness.
Perhaps maybe a little peanut or pecan or
maybe it's
something
more
toasted in
what's
here.
What's a praline?
That's like the pecans covered in caramel, which isn't a bad note,
right? Yeah. No, maybe that is.
It's as I'm smelling it more and more, it's reading a little sweeter.
Right. I'm getting a lot of just traditional vanilla,
brown sugar. Yep. I'm gonna go in.
All right. Cheers, folks. All right, that first sip of the day. Woo!
Yep.
Always set your hair back a little. What little hair I have left.
Yeah, we don't have much between.
Sad story. That's what happened to my hair. Took a sip of bourbon too fast. All my hair
on.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Sort of a sad story. I looked like Fabio back in the day.
You know that sweetness up front on the front of the palate is there.
It reads as a sweet bourbon. Yep. Now, you know what? I've been impressed all through this series. These bourbons have finishes.
Yeah, they do.
Like, it's not the longest finish you're ever going to have, but I'm not upset by this finish.
No.
It's reading as sort of a rye forward, peppery, a little bit of oak note
Yep.
finish. It's not a
A
bad
little
little
bit
finish.
of drying on the
Right,
sides of the
almost
tongue.
some astringency.
Yep. Gonna do a second sip here.
Mm. Man alive. I got to tell you, as we thought we'd be saying throughout this entire process, is this the best bourbon I've ever had? No. Is it a perfectly fine little sipper? Yes. Nothing wrong with this at all.
No,
Like it a lot.
this is perfectly fine.
I think all of the notes in the nose are coming through on the palate. There's not a lot of difference in my mind between the nose and the palate. It's ringing true. There is a nice sweetness early on. There is some rye spice towards the middle of the palate. But the real hitter on this offering is that finish. It's really nice.
It's still going on after a little
It's
bit of
semi-long,
Yeah.
right? Not the longest finish you're
Very
ever going to
nice.
have, but it's really, again, as you like to say, you walk into somebody's house, this is what they pour you, you taste it, you'd be like,
Cheers.
thank you, buddy.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Appreciate you.
Yep. That's really nice. All right, I'm going to have to take a sip of water before I got to save a little bit in there in case it's close. I'll move on to the right here. Once again, I had to swirl it around a little bit to get some notes. It wasn't exactly jumping out of the glass. I'm getting, I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm getting a little bit more depth on this nose. It's a little bit tougher to find notes, right? But they're there. Also reading is sort of a sweeter offering.
A little buttery popcorn coming through here.
That's a good note.
I think it might read a touch sweeter than A.
I'm getting, again, traditional vanilla, brown sugar sweetness. I don't know that it's dark and brooding, coffee, creme brulee.
Maybe a citrus note too.
Yeah, that's good. Boy, as I like to say, Troy's in midday form with his nosing notes. I like the butter and popcorn note. You're probably right about the citrus. I wonder if that would be good. If you took some buttered popcorn and just like expressed a lemon over top.
I don't know. I mean, it would give you a little bit of acid.
It would be.
It might not be all
cut through. I don't know.
I don't know.
Somebody try that. Let us know how it goes. This is interesting. All right. Cheers, everyone.
I think your initial nose of a little more depth is accurate because I do think this is just a bit more complex. Now there's some nice finish coming through here, a little bit of oak presence. I'm not sure it's quite as spicy.
I'm not getting as much rye spice, and I think the complexity might actually be hurting it because it's not in your face, right? It's not big pop of flavor and then some interesting things onto a finish. So really interesting offering. Boy, nothing I'm getting here is unsatisfying or displeasing.
No.
If anything, what's missing from the one on my right here as opposed to the one on my left is that barrel funk note, right? Like I'm not getting a lot of sourness and a lot of barrel funk, musty basement, none of that stuff in here. Obviously, the barrel funk note on the A, what I'll call A, the one on my left, wasn't overpowering or I wouldn't have liked it, right? So a really sweeter, now my second sip was a little more interesting. Oh man, this is gonna be tough because I like them both for different reasons. I am going to say I think I like the finish more on the one on my left. There's just a little bit more to offer
I
there.
think nose and finish I've got to give to A. I think palate might go to B.
All right, I'm going to have to drink some water and go back in. Oh God, we've put ourselves into.
I know we're already in a conundrum, and it's the first blind of the day.
Yeah, I like the nose on A better.
Boy, this is tough.
All right. This is my last sip, folks. Then I'm going to declare a winner. I might not be happy about it, but I'm going to declare a winner.
You know, Trent, the Old Tub was a distillery only release for a long time, and it showed up a year and a half ago.
I think to this
At
day,
Fine
and
Wine
fine wine
and
and good spirits, we can get it for under $20.
Yes,
I mean,
like
it's
$19.99,
18 bucks, 19 with tax. Yeah.
It's very reasonable, and it got some criticism from the community, but you and I both kind of really enjoyed
Well,
it.
and again, I think part of that, and this deserves to be said on every episode. Part of that is probably palate differences. Obviously, Troy and I are related. We're brothers, so it makes sense that genetically we're going to have some palate similarities there, and I think we do. There are things that Troy likes more than me. There are things I like more than Troy. That's fine, but our palate is really geared, right or wrong, towards the Jim Beam profile. We like it. We're defenders of Booker, which is not something that a lot of people in Whiskey Tube are saying. Booker's is on the hate list in the Whiskey Tube community, right or wrong.
Man alive. Ooh, boy, we set ourselves up with a tough one here to start off with. My goodness.
That finish. All right, I think I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the one on my left.
Yeah, I'm going to go the one on my left too. Now, I'm splitting hairs here because this was tough.
I think what happened in this 3-6 matchup is that the left went out on a great first half run, got a 12-point halftime lead, and then started the second half, went through some adjustments, and this started clawing its way back, even took a late lead into the late second half, but really close at the buzzer, comeback, maybe a 3-point win. I'm going to give it to the one on the left here. Really solid offerings both ways. I'm wondering aloud, just to give us more to drink, is if after the final four, we should do a final four of those that didn't make it.
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
Now that I've said that, you guys have to decide.
You have to let us know.
You have to let us know if you want us to do that. In any case, do we have the results here?
You'll have to excuse me for a moment. I need to fetch the results
Oh,
real quickly because the Bourbon Sister still has them.
we have our results.
I tell you what, A was Benchmark.
I'm surprised that one had a little bit more spice there.
It would have been your Old Tub.
So the 3 seed sneaks out the narrow victory in this, I think, toughest of 3 so far that we've had in our challenge bracket blind here.
I'm not surprised these were relatively challenging for us to pick a winner, Trent, because, we like Buffalo Trace products. We tend to like their profile. We also are big Jim Beam fans, and we like Old Tub. I think the Benchmark for me it was just a little more well-rounded.
I think
it delivered on nose, it delivered on palate, it delivered on finish.
I might even be willing to give this palate. I think
would agree with that. Yep.
Troy was in midday form with his tasting notes. I was not. Took me a while to get there. This is, I thought, more interesting nose. Just goes to show, folks, you never know. This, if it matters, has somewhere between 10 and 5 and 10 less rye percent by mash bill than this does. And yet I read this as a spicier offering.
I did too.
And so
we could do this tomorrow and it would be totally
different results.
And that's why the blinds are fun, and it's also good to revisit a blind and do them more than once.
The one thing that I will say, since Old Tub lost, is, first of all, those of you out there who hate on Old Tub, you owe yourself the service, since it's $19 of revisiting it. revisit it neat. Don't put anything in there. Just go in, nose it, and tell me this isn't a bourbon that's worth $20. I mean, you will be hard pressed to tell me that this is swill, right?
Yeah.
And I realize the name does it no favors. It's like you're drinking old bathwater, right? And other than Jimmy Russell, we don't drink anybody's bathwater. So Old Tub gonna lose today to the 3 seed. That means so far we have the 1 seed, the 5 seed, and the 3 seed. Moving on to our final 4 bourbon, which again will probably be into late March, early April before we get that out to you. Trying to mirror the NCAA basketball tournament. Troy and I are sports fans. I don't know that we follow college basketball.
Not as much as football.
College football and things like that. But we do follow it. Really good matchup today. Well-deserved win for Benchmark. I was sort of surprised. I sat here thinking that I had picked Old Tub. Doesn't matter to me. Wasn't trying to figure out what I picked. I just thought that maybe the more rye spice was what I was tasting. A really well-rounded sip. It just goes to show, folks. You see Benchmark bonded, buy Benchmark bonded.
Maybe buy 2.
It's
because it's cheap
and it's a good bourbon,
delicious,
and you're not going to be mad.
And at the same time, like Trevor was saying, buy yourself some Old Tub. Give it another go. If you don't like it, put it in a cocktail. Make an old fashioned.
It's not going to suck
Make
in
a whiskey
cocktail.
sour.
Right, exactly.
It's a good mixer. We just happen to enjoy it neat.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No.
I think that's all we have for you.
Yeah, that's all we got for you.
Coming
today,
up
folks.
next, we've got number 2 seed versus the number 7 seed.
Early time
versus
versus really the wild card in this competition.
it's the old Bardstown.
It's the old Bardstown, the Willet product, bottled and bond that you buy at the Willet Distillery. I'm not sure I've ever seen it anywhere in the wild.
My understanding
Willet
is
Distillery.
it's very difficult to get a hold of outside of Kentucky.
It's really interesting. I did get a message about JTS Brown from one of our viewers, he's from Indiana, from Indianapolis area. And he says, it's so interesting to me that you guys can't find JTS Brown. Because I paid $10.99 for that.
Oh my gosh.
He's like,
well, that's a steal.
And he's like, you're right. I buy it. He's like, so now what they can't find there at all. It's like Drought and Eagle Rare.
Really?
They cannot scare up Eagle Rare. He has to drive to Kentucky, which I'm sure is stressing.
I'm sure that's painful.
I'm sure
that would.
They
that
twist
would,
his arm.
Ow! Stop!
What are you trying to do? Kill me?
Go.
To get Eagle Rare. No, he sent me a message. His wife found a 1.5 liters
Oh.
or a 1.75 for $60, and he's like, "Oh, that's a buy."
Yeah, I would.
That's what I told him. I'm like, "That's a buy and a good wife." Good job, buyer.
Precisely. You
So,
win on both fronts. There,
Everybody wins there. So again, the hunt, the interesting differences between states and releases, part of the fun of this, folks. We'll be back again. We'll grant our 4th and last entrance into the final 4 of the Bourbon Brothers Bottled and Bond Budget Bracket Blind. Until then, folks, please
like what you drink
and drink what you like.
and don't forget to like and subscribe.
See you next time.
Cheers.